All right, this is the City of Green Bay Personnel Committee on April 25th at 5:38. Present are Alders Hutchin, Burnett, Johnson, and Galvin. Alders Stoyer and Alder Eck are also present via Zoom. I'll entertain a motion on the agenda.
I guess the question is, are we going to go into closed session? Should we move that to the end?
I would ask Chief Falls if you think it's necessary.
It is, but it'll be pretty quick. I don't anticipate a long closed session.
I move to amend the agenda to move item 2 to item 5, after 5.
And I guess I would ask if we talk about 2 before 3. So if we move 2 and 3 to the end, that'd be fine.
Okay, that's,
So 2 in place of 4 and 3 in place of 5?
take items 2 and 3 and place them after 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 That passes unanimously. On to regular business. Item 1, consideration with possible action on the request to fill the following replacement positions and all subsequent vacancies resulting from internal transfers. Item A is a park maintenance worker. Does anyone have any
Move to
questions for
approve.
staff? We have a motion to approve. Second. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item B, another park maintenance worker.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 That passes unanimously. Item C, parking enforcement officer.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes unanimously. Item D, a civil engineer.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously. And item E, an IT director.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Just a question, Alder Galvin.
Sure.
Do we, as this position in particular, because we have an interim director right now, and I'm just thinking back to some other of these director level positions, at least in the past,
Yep.
that have just been filled. I mean, do we post them? Are we required to post them? And the only reason I'm asking about this one versus the others, of course, one, we have an interim, but secondarily, it's a director level.
Yeah.
Probably requires a little bit more discussion.
So this position is a director level. It's not an officer required under the statutes. So that's kind of why the interim wasn't posted and approved by the common council. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking.
No, I'm just asking, like, one, are we gonna post it, or is this, or is there a plan?
Oh, I
to
see.
just make the interim the director? And I'm just curious what if we have a strategy.
The plan is to post it and have a national recruitment for the position.
Okay, and then even just looking at how IT is really shaping cities all across the world, and you start thinking about smart cities and the way that we're, using data to leverage some of our decision-making abilities. I mean, are we expecting this IT director to bring that level of skill and analysis to the position? And is that included in the posting?
I don't know if it's included in the posting. I'm not sure if we finalized it yet, but that'll be part of the evaluation. Every candidate's gonna be different, but that will be something we're looking for.
Okay, and the reason I bring it up is because I would really love for us to have that level of discussion. I say this everywhere I can go, to beat the drum. I'm tired of everyone saying we should do this because Milwaukee does it or Madison does it. I just want people to say we do this because Green Bay does it. And I think IT is an area where we can really elevate ourselves. There's an opportunity here, and I hope that we're hiring an IT director that can think in that level, and that it's not just someone who's figuring out how to fix our computers. And how do we use all of our systems to to really leverage some of those resources, across all departments.
That's the direction we're headed.
All right, good.
Alrighty. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously also. On to item 3. For consideration with possible, no.
Four.
Oh, sorry, 4. For consideration with possible action on the reclassification of the following positions in community and economic development. Item A, economic development specialist, pay grade I, to senior economic development specialist, this pay grade K. Any questions for staff? Alder Burnett.
Just an overall, they're all on kind of similar wavelength. Why is this necessary, I guess, is the question.
Director Schulte is approaching the podium.
Thank you, Alders. This is regarded specifically the individual who's this position relates directly to has taken on a considerable amount of responsibility in terms of project management, as well as administration of significant amounts of money that he has brought into the city on a variety of occasions. So we really have been looking at this as not only a representation of him taking on those additional responsibilities, but certainly also as a retention effort to kind of get him on a track to provide some upward mobility within the department. We do feel that without this, he would be a very attractive candidate for neighboring municipalities, perhaps, or other ones, to kind of be a very high-level target recruitment from his success in not only retrieving funds, but also, again, taking on a significant amount more management and overview of project management within the city.
I'm on board with that. That sounds great. Sounds like a wonderful employee type that we want to keep. I guess the question, in addition to what you just said, is internally in your department, could you foresee any issues with other employees kind of feeling like, well, he's great or he or she's great, but we're great. What about our reclassification?
We shared the same concern, Alder Burnett, when this was first approached. We certainly have talked with other staff who would be directly impacted by this, informed them that there's a possibility of other positions being considered in the future, and that certainly this is not a reflection on their specific their outlook or their trajectory. We'll similarly be looking for other opportunities, certainly for those positions in the department as well, either internally or through a formal process with citywide. So,
And I think one thing to note as well is the position has gone up 2 pay grades is what they recommended, and I think that just really notes the substantial change and complexity of the responsibilities. Because usually it's 1 pay grade increase, but they did have a conversation with me that they were recommending 2, and that's a little unusual.
Didn't even catch that.
This individual, how long has he been with this city? Roughly.
do you guys have that? I'm not sure. It's certainly longer than I have, Alder. Obviously, I've only been here 2 years.
Okay.
Probably
Well, around 7 or 8.
7 or 8 years, yeah.
Is he taking on responsibilities that used to be done by someone else, or is he creating an environment around himself where he's taking on responsibilities that no one had before?
I would say a little bit of both, Alder Galvin. I think in terms of this case, certainly the main project I would certainly point to is the shipyard project, in terms of overseeing a lot of the funding analysis and actually coordination with our engineering staff, in addition to with the contractors on site. So a considerable amount more of project management that certainly was not occurring before. I think maybe there was some of that occurring with the previous director a little bit, but this has certainly been something that this individual has taken on. Certainly, and because of his knowledge of the project, with me coming on in 2 years, he had kind of already stepped up and was beginning to do that, and well, the director's position was open, and he has continued to do that and expand and grow upon that very successfully.
Well, he's been doing a job that's really impressing all the supervisors to this point, where you're trying to, like you said, reward them and at the same time retain them. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
We're just doing 4A right now, right? One at a time?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, we're doing one at a time.
I would second the motion.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. On item B, Administrative Assistant, pay grade I, to Administrative Operations Supervisor, pay grade J. Any questions for staff?
Is this the one that I saw where we were expecting increased revenue to cover the expense?
I'm trying to think if this
And
one particular.
maybe more specifically, how is your department actually absorbing is this being absorbed in your salary line item?
So with the administrative assistant, that's the position that oversees the administrative clerks. So I think some of the revenue would probably also fit in with this position. But I think one thing to note is the position, from my records and reviewing it, is I don't believe the job description was updated since like 1999. I know the salary study did update the pay grade, but I don't. So that was one thing where I think it was pretty glaring that this position had to be reviewed.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that, and I think and I should have asked this on the first one too, and I neglected to do that, but it's, I mean, obviously this is going to have a budget impact. Are you just absorbing that in your already existing budget?
Is we're looking at possibly balancing, so there's not a lot of additional flexibility in that. Just from a revenue standpoint, we are either at or above our projections for the year on the two main revenue sources that were discussed
Sales?
previously.
Okay.
So
Never looked at.
those were the reinspection fees. I believe we are possibly, if trends continue as they are right now, we are not really into our busy season yet for those staff. Certainly so we're looking at possibly $100,000 to $200,000 ahead of where we projected. If the existing trend continues, we're still hoping that obviously maybe the raised higher inspection fee maybe slows that down a little bit and gets people to respond and comply a little faster. But right now, that is certainly significantly higher than was projected for this point in time last year. The other one that we're certainly working with Joanne's office on right now is the short-term rentals, and kind of increasing our licensing of those efforts. There's a significant revenue potential for that as well. So certainly at least two of these administrative positions, in addition to the one we're speaking with right now, would be directly impacted by both of those revenue streams. They would be involved in the intake and the initial processing of those applications for sure.
Any other questions for staff? Alder Burnett?
Yeah, and you acknowledge this, Director Stepschulte, my main concern is obviously we want to reward and we want to motivate and encourage employees. We want to continue them onto their career path, but I did receive a call with, not saying specific to your department, I don't know who the person was, it was anonymous, but there is some concerns about kind of, employees feeling like, well, I'm doing everything that I should, why am I not getting? So long as you're aware of that and can.
Yeah, very much so, and that's we're certainly supporting Director Fault's initiative for that very reason. But so we, certainly looking at doing that. Again, it certainly was not the intent to bring these forward at this time. I think our department has seen a 100% turnover in our administrative staff, except for the number one, except for at least our top staff person there. I believe Director Grenier is facing a similar situation in his department where he's had at least probably 100% turnover in his admin staff as well. So we're seeing significant needs to kind of address that position. I think in terms of other concerns, pay is certainly one of them. I think the phenomena of less work with more pay is certainly raising its face in these staff are our front line staff for pretty much everything that comes into the counter, either on the phone or at the counter. So they're dealing with some not always real happy people in our department if we're an inspection issue or something like that. So I think there is an additional stress level that certainly these positions are taking on. They are also really kind of gone beyond, I think, the traditional concept of an administrative clerk, and they are actually a frontline inspection staff or a frontline planning and zoning staff in terms of answering questions, providing preliminary, data on how to read the ordinance, how to identify. They have actually achieved a level of technical expertise in either building inspection or planning and zoning that is actually kind of elevating these positions to kind of almost being like an entry-level inspection staff or an entry-level where the technical knowledge is required for them to be able to do that. And that has certainly made it easier on the rest of our staff to be able to focus on other duties. So we do really see that additional level of technological expertise for the department is certainly showing itself in all of our positions. And certainly when we lost all of those positions, we certainly noticed it was missing. So we're doing everything we can certainly to address those and get those back, get everyone else back up to speed to provide that same level of service.
All city employees, all city departments are important for different reasons. Your department is very important because it's the revenue producing part of our, not the only revenue producing part, but a significant revenue producing part, in that you're attracting development, you're attracting people interested in bringing business to the city, so you need the best people in your department to encourage that growth.
I agree, Alder, absolutely.
Question, there was significant changes in the job description. Have these been shared with the potential people who are going to?
Those were based largely on input from communications with those
Okay.
staff about what their day-to-day operations were.
Okay, and they're significant, and it is a step up, so we're
Yeah,
getting
we've
paid
had-
for the buck.
I just, certainly just the level of engagement that we've seen at the counter, certainly, even if it's just someone who's, not upset with the city, just inquiring about a permit or inquiring about the rules and regulations. They have a significant customer service impact on basically how they interact with the department going forward. If they have a good experience on that first flip of the counter, it's almost way more likely to have a good positive experience throughout the rest of their permit experience, I guess. So we do really see them as being extremely valuable, and so leaving our other staff available to work on other items as well.
Good. Any other questions? Entertain a motion?
I think we had one.
All right. Over 60, I forgot.
This was on 4B.
Yeah, 4B, but I mean,
We need a motion on this.
we do need a motion.
We do, I'll move to approve that.
Sure. Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. On to item C, Administrative Clerk, pay grade D, to Inspection Support Specialist and Development Support Specialist, pay grade E.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
On to item 5, for consideration with possible action to amend the July 1, 2023 timeline for the increase of 2 legal assistant positions, one at 80% and the other at 93.75%, a full-time as soon as practical. Attorney Bowman.
Yes. So you may remember with the budget, the 2023 budget, I had been requesting moving up one of our legal assistants from 30 hours to 40. That's our claims legal assistant and support staff for the prosecutor, and then overflow work from our other legal assistant. And then moving our other legal assistant from 80% up to a full-time employee, and she handles all of our public records requests. We just hired our legal assistant in the claims position. Today was his first day. He's starting off at part-time, and then he would be eligible to move to 30 hours in May. We've had that position open now a lot longer than we wanted to, so it's been vacant since January, so we've had a significant cost savings, salary savings on that front. I feel like it's a broken record, but we're super busy, particularly on the records front. At this point, we are up to 116 records requests. We had 202 total last year. So we're barely into second quarter, and we're way past the halfway mark of what our total records requests were last year. And we don't see any indication that it's going to be slowing down. Right now, we number our records requests as they come in. So if it's at 116, we're right now currently processing in the 30s to 40s. So we're really far behind. So essentially, I would like to get as much time and people in their seats for as long as they can for the week to just be able to start chipping away at that backlog. Yes.
Could you put the workload, not just with records requests, but the entire attorney's office, could you put the workload that's waiting to be done into a time frame for me? How long, if you don't get your request fulfilled, how long do you think it would take you to catch up?
That's a hard guess. It's hard because we have things coming in all the time.
Right.
But at this point, if we're 30s and 40s, I think it's going to take us at least through the end of the year. And
If nothing,
we're going to be like playing catch up.
You're never going to be caught up?
We're not going to get
okay,
caught
so
up.
how far
Yeah.
behind are you in a time frame?
Well, like I said, it would be nice for us to be keeping up with records requests, or at least be like 10 to 20 behind. At this point, we're more than half behind, because we're only on number 30 to 35 of all the records requests that have
Out of
come in.
116?
Out of 116, yeah.
How long does it take, again, I guess I'm
Yeah,
asking you to guess,
it's-
how long does it take to do, say on average, a records request?
Sure. I mean, one of our records requests that we've been working on has taken at least just 10 hours of time, I believe, just on one. Not to mention that those are just not her only responsibility. She's
Now,
also working.
does this include redaction?
It's the searches, it's reviewing the searches, it's redaction. The searches, particularly for email communications, tend to be the longest because our system is not very sophisticated, so it searches keywords and it gives you a dump of like 10 to 15,000 emails. That's one person literally going through 10 to 15,000 emails, seeing if they're even responsive, pulling those to the side, creating a PDF. So it's very time intensive.
Does this affect cases, like other jobs, like liquor laws?
Sure. It affects just general clerical support for the office. Our paralegal currently was absorbing the claims administrator position, so she was doing all of that, plus support staff for the prosecutor and preparing for pretrials and trials, which then takes her time away from monitoring our outside counsel. It's just, things take longer to complete because there's only so much, there are only so many hands to do the job.
Are we having to ask for extensions on certain things?
Not that I'm aware of, no. We're working within the deadlines. We prioritize things that have a deadline, particularly anything with circuit court or any of our litigation, that always comes to the front. But obviously the records request delay is what's giving me pause, because we don't want to look like we're delaying. Obviously that's, a communications coming in from a constituent or from an alder. We want to try and get that out as quickly as possible, otherwise that information gets stale. So we want to try and keeping up, and we're not.
Okay. And my example, 5 years.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if any of you guys would be happy with having to wait 5 years for a request to be fulfilled, but that still burns. And I'm not blaming you at all, okay? But I think that's totally unacceptable. I can't imagine a private sector company telling somebody to wait 5 years. I know what they would do, they go somewhere else.
Sure.
And my concern is if we're 5 years waiting for stuff like that, how much other stuff is being noticed by other entities going, what's up with Green Bay?
Sure.
And I just don't think that's a way to operate any of our departments here, having to wait 5 years to get a product done. Does anyone else have any questions for staff? Yes.
Yeah,
Alderman Knapp.
Attorney Bungert, could you just give us an idea with the open records? Because we were hoping that the open record requests would go down. I mean, a lot seem to be
Right.
election related, but
Sure.
police related.
A lot of it is election related, and while we don't have an election going into the fall, we're going to be approaching an election in the spring and then another election, obviously in fall of 2024. Like Deputy City Attorney Koshart had mentioned previously, just the culture and the atmosphere with respect to transparency and the state laws that have been put in play years ago, this is just a trend that's going to keep going up as we've been looking at the data, at least from the time that I've been in the office. It's a line that just keeps going up. And there's small little dips here and there, but for the most part, people are just requesting more information, and particularly a lot in email form, because that is the majority of our communications come through email. And it's just a time-intensive way of searching through things. We are in the process of implementing a new software to try and help alleviate that and create a little bit more efficiency. And we're working with IT to get that onboarded, which will hopefully help maximize our one staff person, our one support staff person that handles these from the law department. But it's not something I'm anticipating going away or slowing down in any means.
Yeah, I mean,
Any
are they
significant
coming
means anyway.
in like just after this recent election? Is it?
Yes, just from the election alone, from 2 people, we received 10 records requests.
Council members know the person who requested our records, but you don't have to answer.
Yes.
So I heard you say that the posting, the delayed in hiring of a legislative or legal assistant, that
Yes.
that created, so that's what the
Some
funds
cost
are
savings,
going
yes.
for.
So I checked that over with personnel, with finance, so we would have room to be able to do that. And I think the projection, obviously we project in a range for hiring. It will be at a lower range, so we'll be able to have some cost savings as there as well. So overall, I think it's going to be budget neutral, and I still think we're going to have some salary savings at the end of the year.
Yeah, and
So it's not eating all of it up.
No, that's fine. It
Yeah.
was actually my suggestion back in the fall to there was a number of things I was trying to do to make the budget,
Sure.
the tax increases easier to digest. So it was actually my motion to do this, and, I think it would be, unless someone else has questions, appropriate for me to make the motion to approve it, because obviously the ramifications of delaying hire, and it just seems like a very modest, request, that I think it's very practical and prudent for us to approve it.
I would second that. Same deal. Like, to me, you've got your line item on salary. I think this is getting to a level, I understand why it has to be here.
Sure.
But this, to me, feels like a
Yep.
level of
We-
micromanagement we don't need to engage in, so I
Right.
fully support the motion.
It was a big conversation piece at budget time, so staff, I felt it was appropriate to bring it, just everybody was on the up and up and can get approval.
Yeah, but I just also want to make it known that Attorney Colchart, your staff, wonderful. I think they've walked through a lot of really complex issues, and I wish we had the funding, and I know this is another discussion, and maybe
Sure.
I haven't always been on the side you'd like me to be on this particular issue, but it would be great if we could add additional resources to your department, because the need for good legal representation continues to grow. And I think
Absolutely.
you have a
And
great
small
team
changes
right
like
now.
this, just to try and maximize what we have. And by no means is this, the golden egg that is going to solve all of our problems, but the more people, the longer I have people in the office, the more work, obviously, that can get done. So every little bit helps.
All right, so I have a motion. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. On to Cheryl, just one second. Yeah, can you hold on one second? We're on to item number 3, consideration with possible action on a market assessment and pay grade adjustment for electrician position from pay grade 1 to pay
So
grade
I'll go with the one or two. Number 2.
Number 2, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, that's it, yeah. For consideration of possible action on the 2023 City of Green Bay and City of Green Bay International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, local number 158 labor agreement.
So we can go to closed session very briefly, it won't take too long.
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
All
Committee
those-
may convene in closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, subsection 1, subsection E, Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating public employee contracts for competitive or bargaining reasons. Committee may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to Section 19.85, subsection 2, Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'm going to escort Cheryl off for just a second.
Good Lord.
All right, we're back live. There was a motion to go back to open session in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Motion to approve item 2.
Second.
I have a motion to approve item 2 in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. On to item number 3, for consideration with possible action on the market assessment and pay grade adjustment for the electrician position from pay grade I to pay grade J, and electrician 4-person position from pay grade J to pay grade K. Any questions for staff?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. On to informational. Does anyone have any questions for staff on a report of routine personnel action items? Alder Burnett.
Chief Faults, on here absent was the open chief of staff position. Has the mayor decided whether or not he's going to fill or post that position?
Yeah, I think he's going to fill it, and I believe it's, Ahmad Rivera will be filling it at some point.
Do you know when they anticipate a start date?
I think sooner rather than later. I'm kind of working on the offer letter. So would the common council like to be updated when that is going to be?
I think it would just be practical. I mean, it would be great because in that position's job description clearly says to support council, city council. So when we weren't notified that he left, it kind of rubbed us all a very wrong way. So
Okay. Yeah,
more
we'll let the council know
communication
when he's
is
going to
better.
start.
All right, any other questions? All right. Our next meeting is May 9th at 2023. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone that would really be opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Unanimous.